As the three of you take off in this small sailing vessel, as you see this large barge, this tiefling, ship, kind of anchored and moored, by these other, small vessels, and these two top-sized or lodged, boats that were in chase, by this heretic and her crew, kind of back on the shoreline. Her, literally just screaming, to the diviner below. As the three of you kind of take off, into the north, with the current, away from these rocky outcrops into the river Sita proper. Give it some flavor as to your overall condition and like how close of a call that was. Like granted, you are away from the city, you are away from the diviner's reach, but are you really that far out of the reach of the diviner?
I mean, after hitting so many rocks, I'm sure there's a couple of spots on the edge of the boat that are seeping a little bit of water. Nothing to be super concerned about, but maybe the occasional bucket has to be,
Roll me a investigation.
Oh, +4. 20.
Yeah. So without a doubt, you had heard some scraping and some banging from below, and you see on the one side, the port side of this little vessel, the barnacles were all scraped off. As you are correct, there are a couple small leaks. With some minor repairs, but for the most part, this boat is in pretty good shape. Considering the ordeal it's just been through.
Yeah. I mean, nothing. A couple small chunks of wood, some resin, some sand with some fire couldn't fix.
Absolutely. Very cool. Alindawn, Zeema, as I imagine Thadius, you've taken over control of the helm again?
Yeah.
Gladly.
I was going to say, if you have the skill, you might as well use it.
Yeah, you betcha.
But those guys were definitely way better at this than I would ever have been trained to do.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for this barge, and already having their hands full with these captives from the Sea Dakota, they would probably continue the chase. But they've already lost 2 boats to it, and the time and the manpower due to this little excursion. This distraction. Small fish. A big river, right? Zeema, as you reach down, you feel this wetness. This once again that crimson. On your soiled dress. Your stained dress. As you can kind of feel that arcane, kind of corruption that festering in this wound. What would your frame of mind be as you guys kind of make your way further up the Sita, away from this threat, away from the city proper?
Just probably just like a leaning up against like the side of the vessel and probably just saying aloud to herself, "I just need this day to be over with."
Absolutely, yeah. And it has been a long day. Like there's been a lot that's happened. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same day that your mother has passed. Is it not?
I mean, it was much earlier in the same day, but yes.
Yeah. So it almost seems as if time has stood still, or that, time has slowed down, with how much running, how much the body has gone through, and when the body goes through that kind of trauma, like once again, you kind of give up and you kind of release yourself to the adrenaline. And now that you finally have a moment with, Thadius at the helm, yourself resting, you can just feel yourself just kind of swaying, just wanting, the sleep, for slumber to kind of take over. And, Alindawn, as you see this in Zeema's eyes, is there anything you can do for her?
Well, start with a medicine check again, because obviously you're ripped open because you're bleeding. Then I can attempt a higher level, lesser restoration. I don't have it memorized. I have to sleep first.
Okay.
So, but I'll make sure that the wound is bound, and then, certainly rest. Probably going to be the best thing in this case. And we'll deal with whatever comes tomorrow.
Sounds good. So give me a medicine check. What's your thing?
22.
There was 2 wounds, 2 slashes from this heretic's blade. And the first one you managed to seal, although you can still see that scarring, that kind of, discoloration. The skin just isn't what it used to be, and it might never be. But the second wound, once again, as you kind of pull the bandages back, you can just see like that grotesque slash, her small little side, and you can see like the layers, the epidermis of the skin, kind of peeled back, and it's just bubbling. Both of you give it some flavor. Zeema, like the pain as he pulls these bandages back, and Alindawn, like the grimace at how bad this wound is.
Well, it's almost like it's alive. Because as I tend to it, the more I try and close it to put some kind of pastes or bandage on it, it flares up, and it's like it tries to move away. The sound moves away from the actual opening, like it's a living wound.
Yeah, almost as if it's combating, your efforts.
Yeah.
And Zeema, the pain?
It burns, it sears, it is, when it is acting up in this way, it's incredibly difficult to think of anything else, because what else is there to think of? This is actively hurting me.
Absolutely. Give me a Constitution save there, Zeema.
Alright. Okay, that is a 16.
That's better than a 5. Sounds good. So, like once again, the pain is unbearable. Like as Alindawn pulls back the bandages and takes a look, like once you can just feel the gauze, kind of stick to the wound, and as he applied like these poultices and this medicine, going through his kit, just trying to kind of figure out like what can I do to keep up with this infection. You can feel yourself swaying, like the exertion of the day's events, the mental drain, that everything that you've experienced the last 24 hours has taken on your mental well-being. The loss, of your mother, of your home, is all kind of bearing down on you, and you can literally feel, your knees just weak, kind of wobbling as you're kind of forced to take the knee or to sit down and just kind of breathe and just take a sip of water. Just trying to recover from everything that's been going on.
Mm. Yeah.
What's left of my equipment, as it were, backpack, bedroll, whatever is burnt up as they are, or whatever is left, and just kind of try and bunch it together in some kind of a bedroll or something. That's like, please rest. You need to, like, for your body's sake.
I won't refuse it for sure.
And then as Alindawn, kind of lays this mattress down for you, probably borrowing some of Thadius's equipment, which isn't so burnt and crispy.
Yes.
You can feel your eyes, heavy with want. And as you kind of slip into sleep, what's the last kind of thought of the last day's events that you kind of think of before you fall into sleep?
If this is what I've gone through, I can only imagine what Yala has been through.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so you have the thoughts of your brother. Like, is he safe? Is he alive? Like, is he going to be okay? And that all kind of fades away as you crash hard, into thankful darkness. Adam, Thadius, roll me a d6. 4. 4 days pass. And as you find yourself finally waking up there, Zeema, you have literally been asleep for 4 days. The exertion, the difficulty of the last, couple of days on your body has taken its toll. Give it some flavor as how you feel rested of body, but concerned of mind.
Yeah. Probably haven't had this much rest in a really long time, even before everything that's been happening in the days in which I've met these two. But I mean, it is not every. I mean, you have to wake up early in order to get out to the shore or to do other chores or activities.
Mm-hmm. And life.
Yeah,
life in general. With the Sea Dakota, you're raising early and looking for shells as a way of life. And what do they say? The early bird gets the shell. if you're not up at the crack of dawn, as Thadius knows, you're not going to get those shells that are brought in by the tide. And so being up like at 3 o'clock, to be at the shoreline by 4 is just a way of life. And to have, that, I won't say burden, but have that responsibility lifted from your shoulders for the first time in years kind of feels liberating. There's almost a sense of slavery, to being part of the rat race. Having to wake up and do the same monotonous things over and over and over again. And it's kind of, that's maybe, if there's one good thing that's come out of this, is that, you can't sleep in. That ability to rest is found upon you. Alindawn and Thadius, 4 days have passed since Zeema has gone to sleep. What have you guys done in the last 4 days on this boat and shoreline, or on the way to Python, this northern monastery?
Well, definitely checking on Zeema to make sure she's still alive and breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the first day, you're kind of like, okay, this is a bit extreme. But, I mean, she's recovering from a lot.
Yeah.
Thadius would definitely be doing some fishing. Turn into a shark form, go get some fish, and load them onto the boat. And yeah, just make sure that we have enough food to make it for 7 days. I mean, it's not going to be the greatest food if he has to go and snatch some vegetables or whatever he can get his jaws on in the water, maybe some seaweed salad.
Cucumber.
Yeah. Imagine there's a variety. Give me a survival. It's kind of, fortune. What, that's 20? Give it some flavor and the bounty that the sea has provided you and your friends.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of fish. It's a river, so I mean, I've been getting that. Maybe some small mammals, otters, things that might, like beavers.
Nothing better than a good old fried beaver.
Oh yeah, but mostly because beavers come with pellets.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
And I guess maybe with a natural 20, I found a fisherman that had been sitting out there, and he had a nice picnic basket sitting on the shore, and I kind of just dove out of the water and snatched it out of his boat.
Like that fisherman ran back home with his story of, nowhere to lie, a shark jumped out of the water and took your basket, love.
Yeah, so maybe I came back with some vegetables and fruit or something.
Like some water skins of fresh water, maybe even one of wine. Alindawn?
Predominantly for the first little while would be just tending to Zeema, just making sure that her sleep is natural. When I can, casting lesser restoration on the actual wound itself to try and take out that magical curse. And I think you had a wound as well.
I did, but it wasn't.
It wasn't the same as hers. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, give me. I think we rolled before. Was it an Arcana check or was it a medicine check? With your
medicine's better for me.
Yeah. So roll medicine with your lesser restoration. 10? Yeah, like, for whatever reason, the check that you did earlier, I was able to seal up that wound, one of the two slashes that Zeema had received from this heretic. But your efforts have pretty much, granted, she's comfortable. The wound is no longer bleeding, openly.
Yeah.
But it just will not seal. Like the infection of this kind of arcane, bubbling is just always persisting. And you probably used up the last of your salves, the last of your, herbs and whatnot, and realizing that if we do not get Zeema somewhere eventually, this infection will take her.
Yeah. Since the two of us have had a little bit more time to sit while Zeema's been passed out, Thadius will show you that he got his hands on one of those daggers from one of the fanatics.
Oh.
And he found 4 really odd coins.
Okay. I'll take the coins and the dagger, and as I have time, as you're out fishing and things of that nature, I'll kind of review over them, pray over them, just kind of see if I can glean any information.
Give me a history check on coins, and then give me a history check on the dagger.
History on the coins, I got a 7.
Okay.
And a 16 on the dagger, though.
Yeah, you look over these coins, and they're definitely foreign to Sea Dakota.
Yeah.
Knowing that the economics of Sea Dakota works on shells. Once again, it's just integral to the industry. That Sea Dakota is. They don't work with a lot of like metal coins. Granted, Sea Dakota has coins. But shells will hold much weight. Because that's what's needed.
Yeah.
But these coins, they're definitely from a foreign land. They have an inscription, some kind of etching on them. Yeah, and with more time, and maybe with resources, to kind of further investigate, you might be able to find out more about where they originated from. But as I recall, Thadius, you had received these, or you got these coins from
one of the fanatics.
From one of the fanatics. You probably even heard or read of these knives before. They are, the blades of the diviner. And there's gems, like, set in the hilt. And I think yours that you have has a black, a white, and a blue gem in it. And, yeah. And the gems can be removed and replaced. And they're pretty much like the status of the heretic that holds them.
Interesting. I need more information.
And as the time passes, and the two of you see Zeema kind of wake from her slumber. At this point, we're probably 2-3 days away. From where you figure, according to your understanding of where this monastery is. Before you have to kind of enter into the jungle. Zeema, how hungry would you be?
Massively. I mean, it's probably what woke me up to begin with.
Good call.
Thaddeus is over on the edge of the boat, and he's got some tools, and he's carving stuff into the edge of the boat. And he looks over and sees that Zeema's waking up. You alright?
Yes, I mean, I'm not actively hurting anymore, but...
Well, it's a good thing you had a long time to rest, not to put you in any form of extra shock that you've been sleeping for 4 days.
And then she would look up and take a look around and obviously not recognize anything around.
The terrain has definitely changed. From that sandy kind of open areas, the sand plains of the Sita, and that big kind of vast river system. Now it's far more bottlenecked, and you can see far more lush vegetation, and vegetation that you'd definitely be familiar with. But you probably see it in shops being sold as plants. But literally now you can on these on the shorelines you can see just this lush, kind of vibrant, jungle, kind of greenery kind of taking hold of the lands.
Yeah, mangroves that are reaching out into the water, or vines that drip all the way down into the water.
Very cool. Yeah.
And she's probably raising her gaze up and says, "Never seen one so tall before."
Hmm.
No, we don't get a lot of them back where we live. Oh, not inside town. Thaddeus will reach up onto the bottom part of where the sail goes up. He's had some salted fish that he's hung up there, and he's got a little jar of something, and he goes and hands it to you. There you go.
Thank goodness.
Careful, that stuff is a little strong. I had to use some wine to pickle the fruit.
Well, hopefully it wasn't from that rotten fruit from before.
Oh, no.
Where'd you even get it?
I got it from the same place I got the fruit. It's best not to ask questions. Just enjoy your pickled fruit.
And as Thaddeus is kind of telling this tall tale about, it reminds you of something from your childhood. A game called...
Huh. And then she's probably did the initial taste, and then that thought comes to her. Then perhaps you've heard of a little I mean, my brother and I, when we were younger, we would hang out with his friends because they always like to do this. There's a game in which we would like to play amongst each other, and I mean, he wasn't the best at it, but he always enjoyed doing it. Have you ever heard of something called Valor's Wager?
What kind of game is it?
Oh, if I remember the rules perfectly, it's been a couple of years. essentially, you and however many people are playing, you make a wager, so something that you're willing to risk giving. It can be physical, promise, favor, or whatever. And you take turns asking somebody in the group a question, and that person has to answer honestly. If they are and it keeps going around with asking questions to one another until somebody simply refuses to answer anymore, just wants to keep their secret a secret, or until somebody catches them in the act of lying.
Oh, you mean rat catcher?
I've never heard it with that name before.
That's what we used to play on the streets when we needed to figure out if someone was lying about something. Generally, somebody took someone's effects or food, and then we'd play this game. And if we found out that they were lying, they would owe us.
As Zeema kind of lays, this distraction down, it almost sounds enticing. It's been 4 days on the water, and really, how much fishing can one person do? How much, a prayer can one say? So the idea of this fun childhood distraction has a certain appeal to it.
Be nice to have something to do. I'm not saying that your company isn't great or anything like that, but you have been a little occupied in
Yes.
doing your own things.
It's at the end of the day, it's been a long time since I've actually played a game with anyone, and actually welcome the opportunity to get to know the both of you better.
Well then, I guess, dig through your bags, see what we have to wager.
And as the three of you kind of sit down, I guess Thadius still standing, lazily up against the helm of this boat, keeping an eye on the waters in front of you. But it's been smooth sailing for the last day and a half. There's no real need or no real purpose to consider otherwise. But as we're keeping a cautious eye, on the horizon there, Thadius, the three of you, kind of mentally prepare for this game, and you all, lay your wagers. What would you be wagering there, Rhys? Zeema?
I think she would out of her bag, I think she has a small little steel little
Okay, cool.
It's probably her besides the medallion that she has on her neck, it's probably her only other item of significant value that she carries with her.
Yeah, something sentimental, something perhaps from your mother. Your thought goes to that box, kind of sitting at the back of the boat, that's just kind of been lingering, kind of with a towel or a blanket kind of draped over it. It's not the ideal resting place, for the remains of your mom, but it's safe, it's dry, it's there, for you when you're ready.
Yeah, so just the pulling it out and having that prolonged side glance, she would give a light sigh, probably just a kneel or sit up on the ground and just lay it out in front of her.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's this little mirror compact that kind of goes into the middle of the deck boards. Thadius, your wager?
Thaddeus doesn't really have much on him that would be of value. So he's going to put in a promise. He's going to pull out a damaged little bell, something that's been used to save everybody's lives. And he's like, I don't have much, but I can at least give you a promise that if you ever need me for anything, I will not say no.
Very cool. Alindawn, your wager?
I reach into what's left of my backpack.
Which is very little.
It's very little. This is one thing that was deep in the center of my backpack. I reach it out and I open up the bag. Reaching inside, I pull out what looks to be a very ancient coin. And I simply start flipping it amongst my fingers. And I say, this is one of the last things I have from my village. A remembrance of what used to be. And is very special to me. And to those that have this coin, there is nothing I would not do for them. And I put it down in the middle.
So once like a promise?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Everybody roll me an insight check. Alright.
Dirty 20.
17.
25.
Okay. 17. So the way I see it is that those that kind of seems to be maybe holding back the most would start. So Zeema, you roll the lowest. What would your question be?
All right. She would say, if you don't mind, perhaps I may have the first question. I'll start easy, don't worry. And then she turns to Thadius and says, if you don't mind me asking, where did you get this wine?
Oh. While you were sleeping, I stole it from a fisherman. He was sitting on the water fishing, and as I was going by, I noticed there was a small boat. I jumped to see what I could see, and I could see the handles of a basket. I didn't know what was in it. I hoped it was something useful. And I jumped over the boat and grabbed it, and apparently it was loaded full of fruit, some unfortunately very soggy bread, and a couple of skins, some that had water and some that had wine.
Thankfully, it wasn't a baby.
Mm. And there was a jar of pickles. We unfortunately ate the pickles while you were sleeping. But
I was never a big fan, so no harsh feelings from that.
But I did make a sort of a syrup out of the wine and water that we had left, and just chopped up the fruit before we had pickled it. Well, so hopefully it does not cause you to have any kind of headaches afterwards.
If anything, it'll wake me up.
So, was this something that you would believe him? I guess roll yourself a deception there, Adam, and roll yourself an insight there, Rhys.
Okay. 13 total.
Well, you beat my 7 deception. Wasn't lying.
Fair enough. and so, how would you take that story? Would you believe it? Would you think lesser of Thadius for stealing?
I think it would be safe to assume that she would believe it genuinely, and that admittedly it's the middle of the river. It's not like we can just get much of anything out here, and if the exception is to starve or to eat only one thing for a week straight, I can't blame him for making that choice.
That's fair.
And then I would politely say, thank you for telling me. It's your turn.
Well, I'll take it easy as well. I'm not super well versed in the servants. Can you tell me what servant drives your ideals and why?
As you're not fully versed in the servant, a base lesson. There are servants almost for every race. He has a way, I guess, that flows with each race. So for myself, I serve bias, which is what most elves or orcs you'll find who have a faith will believe in bias.
It's the moral principles.
Yes, the moral principle. Basically being that they're all more about protection and shielding and changing the properties of items and people. Now, whether they choose to do that for good or for evil is the free choice that is given to each and every one. And while I won't easily take that choice away from people, that is why you saw me healing some of the crazy people that were first trying to attack me, because I go too far into my own story, but ultimately that's where I drive my importance from, is protecting those and trying to change people's minds to see the better part and make this a better world as opposed to using your freedom to cause chaos and destruction.
Well, that's interesting. And I'm not super familiar with the servants. So.
And that would definitely be due to just location. I'm growing up and living in a city, under the Tiefling rule, that of the diviner, they would probably stifle that information as much as possible.
Yeah, most of the stuff I've heard is from him. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but the one true God choice, is probably known to all. There really is no wrong choice. Good, bad, light, dark. It's just a choice. It depends on a perspective of the individual, like the heretic or the cultist. They're simply following what they believe, even though they might see it to be the will of the diviner. You three might see it to be the will of somebody who's crazy. And there's no wrong perception in the eyes of the one true God choice. By making that decision, you are simply serving choice. Thadius, Alindawn, both of you guys give me a deception. Can you give me an insight?
I was gonna say I have no reason to believe that he's lying, anyways. But
That's good, because you'd be able to tell with the two that I just rolled whether I was lying or not.
yeah, well, I mean, what's your deception?
-1, so 3 minus 1 is 2.
My 2 plus 3 is 5.
There
Wow.
you go. You're reading me like a book.
Well, as much as I know about Alindawn already, like nothing he said makes me think anything other than his character. Like, because I do know that he has this definitely what I would consider a skewed view of life and death, just because of like wanting to protect all life.
Mm-hmm.
And Thaddeus, experiencing death as much as he has, knows that life is fleeting. It's taken away as easy as it's given.
That would be, serving decay. Kind of like life and death. Fester and purity. So in a sense, you may not know the names of the 5 servants, but yet you still serve them.
In a way, we all do in our own way, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. Even the choice of doing nothing is still a choice.
Well, I don't see any lies in your words.
I don't have much use for lies. So I might not be very good at this game, but
We'll see.
that being said, Zeema.
Mhm.
What is the fondest memory you have of your mother?
Oh. Like theory? Yeah, I mean, probably.
Nudge the jar towards you.
Yeah, she would take it, not immediately like sip from it or anything, but she would like immediately be like a little surprised, then a little bitter, but then warm up eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Especially with being this close to the passing of your mother.
yeah, and then she would like take a moment, breathe, and then say, "Well, if I had to say, I would say the first time that she was actually able to take my brother and I out to an actual restaurant. It was this lovely place on the far north end of the bank. Rarely do we ever see that side of town, just because we never have the time to go there,
Or the shells.
or have the spare money to even bother doing anything with it over there. Though she had saved enough and felt we were grown up enough in order to appreciate such a gift, and I'd be lying if I said it was anything but the fondest moment I've had before becoming an adult. It was miraculous. I mean, we were not the most appropriate customers. My brother was a little loud, I was a little bit careless, but we enjoyed ourselves, and more importantly, my mother enjoyed herself. And that's the most I can say.
Give me an Arcana check there, Zeema.
14?
As you're telling this story, you feel that psychic ting in the back of your head, not knowing where it's coming from. Whether it's coming from Alindawn and Thadius, they're kind of appreciating the story. You being able to share this memory of yours. But there's that distant, kind of, fuzziness in the back of your skull.
Well, it's oddly pleasant.
Yeah.
I was going to say, being on the boat for a couple days, you don't realize how dirty you are. And Thaddeus kind of lets a tear slide and doesn't realize that it's very apparent, keeping his stone face because it clears away all the dirt in the one spot.
Can you turn into a crocodile? Because you have crocodile tears.
There you go.
I can.
I think I brought that back.
So, Zeema, Alindawn, of deception and insight.
12?
16.
Okay. So, would Zeema, would you be telling the truth?
She would be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's clear as day. Like you can just see, how important that memory is to Zeema. As she talks about her brother and she talks about her mother, knowing that they grew up poor. You've seen the Bluebrooke. Pardon me?
It's where they came from. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and you have a pretty good understanding how the shell system works. In Sea Dakota, and just being a collector of shells. It's hard. It's hard work. And so quite often with the taxations on it and whatnot, just getting by as a collector is hard enough, let alone going out for a prepared meal. And that's something that is near and dear to Zeema, and no doubt about it.
Oh, nice. Thank you for sharing.
I'm glad. And then she would think for a moment and then say, I asked him something. I think it's only fair I ask you something now.
Certainly.
What inspired you to find your way to Sea Dakota? There's, I imagine, so many places in the world, and it makes me curious that you would choose here.
In my own way, I've been searching for decades for an answer to a very deep question. And I don't believe that bias leads me to any particular place without some type of a reason to do so. And that being said, I'm not going to throw it fully on there. The reason I came through Sea Dakota was actually on my way to Python to do some more research in their library. I'm searching for some answers to what happened to my sister when we were very young. And needless to say, she, I believe, is the only surviving member of my peoples. But I have not been able to find hide nor hair of her or the thing that I think took her and my people from me. So, brought to your place to run into you two, I believe, possibly for a reason. Definitely you remind me of my sister. Strength of character, such deep feeling. Maybe that's why I protect you like I have over the last couple of days. And you remind me of some good people from my group as well. And to just maybe have that is very important to me right now, because I have been wandering on my own for quite some time. So no specific reason why I came here, but hoping to find what I need to know.
And it almost seems fitting. That wander is represented by the halfling. and for you to come full circle, from where you were to where you are now, in the company of a half.
Not possible.
Yeah. Roll yourself a deceit and roll yourself an insight.
Natural 20.
That beats my 5.
Give it some flavor there, Rhys. Zeema, as to how his story, how it's kind of affected you, and how you can kind of relate with what Alindawn has gone through, considering everything you've gone through just recently as well.
Yeah, it really strikes a chord with her, and just really draws and fascinates her, because this is the first time I've ever brought up, a person of this significance to you in any conversation with us, and having it be, a sibling that you see a sense of familiarity with her. Zeema would feel that, see a very similar relation between, how you feel for her versus how she feels for her own sibling, her own brother, and would just profoundly respect that.
And there's almost this sense of this collective sense of loss. We've all lost something in this life. Whether it's friendship or family, or home, but yeah, it's hard not to see, how the servants have brought the three of you together, through choice. As the two of you kind of share a moment, once again, even without that psychic connection, there's almost like this kingship, this kind of coming of the minds, between yourself, or Alindawn, and Zeema.
Yeah, she doesn't cry, but you can see her eyes starting to get a little wet, a little watery, and she would say, "Thank you for sharing that."
Thank you for being you. And I guess that's my question again. Thadius, what is one thing that you've done that you wish you could take back?
What would be something that he would regret?
And for that fleeting moment, for the first time, you've almost laid Thadius off guard. Literally, for someone who's pretty fleet of foot and who can think, quite well, with his surroundings, there's this question that's presented to him, and you can see him actually kind of digging deep in his mind's eye as to what would be the appropriate answer in a game of potential lies.
I was going to say, so is something I've done that I regret?
Yes.
Okay, that shortens my list. I have a lot of regrets in life. Things that I had no control over. I probably think that the thing at the top of the list of his mind right now, things he would regret, would just be that he had to leave Mateo behind without actually checking.
Mm-hmm.
In his heart, he feels that Mateo's safe, wherever he is now. But he's not sure. That's the only thing, because Thaddeus lives in the moment, so a lot of the things he regrets, they're fleeting regrets, like, I had to do this to survive. I had to do this so someone else wouldn't die.
I had to steal some poor farmer's basket so
Yeah,
I could have alcohol.
I had to steal a fisherman's basket while he was fishing for food, and I stole some food from him.
Which could have been a baby.
Which could have been a baby, yes, but I'm sure it would have made sound or gurgled or something when I took it. Then I would, yes, that would definitely be at the top of my list.
So who leaves a child in a picnic basket?
Yeah. But, I think his current biggest regret would be Mateo, because even though he feels 98% that Mateo is safe, wherever he is, even if he's not at 100%, he knows that he's alive. But not knowing that one of his best friends, like a person that has shaped his life in a positive way.
Yeah.
A
partner in a sense.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have anybody else. All of his friends are gone, dead, taken for slaves.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where they are. He knows where Mateo is, but he still didn't have the time to check on it.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it's like I feel bad for leaving Mateo behind, but I can't leave this behind right now. This is more important. There's nothing I can do to change that. And I think if I hadn't gone with you, we would have already had much more problems than currently facing on the road.
No doubt.
And his words almost touch base with you, because what he's talking about is the servant of bias.
Yeah.
He's talking about what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
And this is something that one of the principles you live your life by. Yes, he's left, his friend behind, but is that wrong? No, he's pretty confident that Mateo's gonna be okay. And he sees that this might be a little more important at the time. So, what is the right decision? And bias has led him to this choice.
Now, consciously, that's my biggest regret. Subconsciously.
So, roll me a deception and roll me a insight.
I'm 11.
Are you telling the truth there, Thadius?
He's telling the truth consciously.
Okay.
Subconsciously, there's something that's bugging him, but it's not the top priority. You definitely, with the 24, you probably pick up on this something like there's something uneasy there, but he's not lying.
So almost like a half truth, yes, the well-being of his friend is important. It's definitely on his mind, but of what you know of Thadius, and like his upbringing, and just the fact that he came back 2 days earlier with somebody's basket, when there was already a lot of food in the boat, maybe this young individual.
That's not what he feels guilty about.
No, this young individual could be capable of more, that he's not willing to necessarily share with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, in a situation like that, do we call out his bluff? And you take his wager?
Right now, I wouldn't. No.
Okay. The two of you share this moment once again. You can better have a feeling and understanding of what this young man his motivations. And you can kind of see the connection once again between yourself and him, as it's now his turn to kind of flip the switch back on yourself.
All right.
His face kind of distorts a little bit. I think he's a little bit frustrated or disgusted. Can't quite tell. And he asks you, why do you have such a strong concern for life, for those that don't value the life of others? I don't understand it.
And it's a deep question. Absolutely. Yes, you're a cleric, and yes, this vow of this moral code, but ultimately it comes down to kill or be killed. And this is something that Thadius would probably understand. So there's almost this clash of ideals, right? Once again, of bias. Justice versus chaos, right versus wrong.
And Thaddeus's life is all survival.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's never had a family that would take him out for supper as a reward or a gift. He's had to support everyone else in his life or else they just die.
Mm-hmm.
There's no missed fights. There's no open arguments left. When your friend is gone, they're gone.
And it's one of these things, as you're sitting here talking about this game, Lore's Wager, and you're kind of coming together, and you're kind of understanding that there's the tides that bind, the choices that you're making to serve the one true God choice. There's all of you on the same path, but then you quickly realize with this one question that, maybe this path that you're all on isn't necessarily the same path.
You see me take a long moment of time before I, looking down, until I finally look up at you square in the eye and I say, my drive to keep people alive comes from my search for my sister. She was young, she was vibrant. But there was a point in our life where an injury that occurred because of my having to be in power, having to be right, gave something a foothold in her. That evil, for lack of a better term, was something that was never there. And from that moment on, I wasn't smart enough or strong enough to pick up on it in time. And it is ultimately what cost me my entire family. And if something so pure can be turned, then something so evil can also be turned back. And by purely snuffing out something because it appears to be evil, they never get that chance, that choice to come back for more things. I am hoping beyond hope that I can find my sister and restore that good in her. But it's been decades and I haven't found a hide nor hair of her. And so that's my hope, and hope that I hold on to. That's why death is the last option for me. Because even some of these tieflings that diviners have twisted and changed, how much of it is their fault? How much is it the control that those above them have? And ultimately, that's why I live the way that I do. People who are important to me, there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. Hell, even the people who don't deserve it get my better nature. But that's the choice that I choose. And serving bias and protect life and driving away the things that come in the night to steal innocence. And I don't know if that answers your question, but that is me.
You would look across this boat, the small vessel that's come to a standstill. Thadius is no longer at the helm. He's kind of dropped the wheel, and he's sat next to Zeema. And you can see the two of them not having to speculate whether you're telling the truth or not. This is for the first time. You guys have shared stories, and you've kind of shared, you've spilled blood with each other. But this is the first time, without a doubt, they can truly see who you are. And as you can see Alindawn, kind of just sitting there, shaking, with what he's just revealed. One of his deepest secrets. One of kind of like who he is and what drives his moral code. And the fact that the two of you have literally become very close to in such a short period of time. I think he's also revealed the fact that his sister is missing, and he sees that strength in yourself, Zeema. With how much you've gone through in the last week. That the strength of mind is just unmeasurable. And then with yourself there, Thadius, how the two of you work so well together, almost polar sides of the servants, and yet still connected by these choices the two of you make.
Thadius will go over and give you a hug.
I'll give back.
Pass him a little bit of that.
Oh, he'll give him the whole wineskin. He didn't use the whole wineskin to make the.
You gave it to me, but I'd pass it to you.
No, that's the syrup stuff.
Oh, never mind.
There's an actual wineskin.
Yeah.
It tastes a little off, so that's why.
I'll take a drink of that.
I appreciate your strength and your honesty. But you have to remember, some people don't have that choice. And if that thing that you hope for doesn't come true, I'll be there to help you make the next choice.
Look forward to it.
Yep.
I'll go sit that back down.
Pop off the cork and take a huge, a bigger swig than probably is my share.
And you can just feel that stinging liquid, on your cracked lips from the heat of that fire.
Pop that back on.
Hold on to it just in case.
My question is one that might seem cruel, but it's some. I need more information. Because if what I'm thinking is correct, closer to what I'm searching for than I know. But my question is to you, Zeema.
I am listening.
Your brother,
Yes.
what things was he involved in that maybe he shouldn't have been?
This strikes you hard. For the first time, somebody's questioning your family. This is somebody you've grown up with, you love. Like you just finished sharing a memory with this elf across the backboards from you about how one of your favorite moments in this life was with you, your mother, this restaurant, and your brother. And now we have somebody, questioning that love.
You are implying that he is of ill doing.
My only question if you know anything of it. It may have been something small, it may have been something that just didn't fit in.
I have only ever known him to be a good, honorable individual who has done all that could possibly do in this life to support what little he has and what little me and my mother had. And quite frankly, it kind of offends me to think that you would think otherwise.
And for the first time, there's cracks in the foundation. We're talking about making choices, and maybe not the best choice to ask a question like that in a childlike game. But still, it is Lore's wager, and that's part of the game. Friendships are made, feelings are hurt. It's all based on the choices we make. Give me a insight and give me deception.
25.
19.
19. Yeah. So you hear what Zeema's saying, and you can see how passionate she quickly turns, from this moment of hugs and understanding, and then like literally you can see her arms get crossed. You can see her kind of turn the shoulder to you. Knowing how close like you hold your family to the chest has probably most definitely offended her. Yeah. Would you be telling the truth there, Zeema? Have you ever suspected that Bialo, your brother, might be up to something other than just being late? Other than just kind of being tardy, not holding up his family responsibilities, not fixing the door hinge on the door that his mother's been asking him to do for weeks? Is there the smallest part in the back of your mind that might suspect he's up to something?
I would say that yes, that there has been points in which she has probably thought that there has been more, but she has always made the assumption that it was with good purpose and that it was for It was something that he needed to do for our sake.
Mhm.
So she would technically be lying.
Would you pass the mirror to Alindawn, or would you hold on to it for yourself?
She would like awkwardly like look down at the mirror and kind of like before you could ask her if like before you could call her out, she just nervously like biting her lip like almost to the point of bleeding, and just awkwardly just like grabs one corner of it and just scoots along the boards towards him and just looks kind of down in shame and says, "Just take it."
And with that, Zeema stands up from her prone position. She walks to the back of the boat, and you can see her just, her small frame, kind of leaning over the railing, and she begins to sob to herself. The understanding that, maybe her family wasn't as strong as she thought it was. And as you, Thadius and Alindawn, kind of look across, at each other, and you both share this look, that maybe this game wasn't quite the best to play at this time.
No,
On the floor.
no. Way back there.
I'm good.
Okay, let's start over there. So I'll just quickly stop there. We've been doing this for just about an hour, and this is a lot of fun. This is what D&D is all about, really. Because hacking and slashing and all that stuff. So we can continue one more round. I got up to make sure everything is good. And so we can continue for one more round. Get some lying in there. Come on, we've got things on the table.
So ask harder stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I have my list here. Do you guys want to know what it is?
No, keep it. We'll use it. We'll use it. Unless you
It's
want to hear
great
it.
because he's the one that actually asked me, and that's the person he subconsciously feels guilty about.
Oh, okay, sure, it's up to
Well,
you.
it's your question. You could throw it back at me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Thaddeus feels guilty because of the way that you treat the living and how you consider death to be, an extreme case. And though Thaddeus has spent his life, his childhood, up to his young adult years, seeing a lot of death, he's only killed people recently.
Yeah.
So he's keeping up a strong face for multiple reasons. But he also is like, yes, I've had to experience death and loss. But until I met you guys, I haven't had to kill to stay alive.
And once again, that's serving decay. You're both serving decay in different ways. Like you're both injuring, you're both, slashing away, taking somebody's life. But the choice that Alindawn is making is to heal, to save that life.
And the partial guilt is also that he doesn't really feel that bad. He feels bad that he's being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And bugging him about it.
Yeah.
But that's only that's in the back of his mind because he has to survive.
That falls in perfectly with the absolute, a soul and abyss. This is something that is taxing your soul. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we'll do one more round. Like I said, I've been thinking about the servants for the longest time.
Yeah.
They're vague for a reason, so you can kind of interpret them how you want. But I think it works out pretty good, especially for this story about how each race is kind of tied in with the servant, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the tieflings. Oh man, it's so good lore. Because that's literally what they're doing. They're kind of changing history, right? They're kind of writing their own story. Yeah. And of course, if you look at the magics that are attached to them, it is
illusion and divination.
Yep. And they fit perfectly for what the tiefling is all about.
Well,